Thanks for tuning in on this week's episode of Connecting with Chels. Today, you'll be finding me in the studio as we're going to be discussing a very important topic. Essentially, we're going to be talking about what the rest of your 2023 Atlantic hurricane season could potentially look like. But trust me, this is quite a complicated forecast. Now, one of the main driving forces we have at play is the climate pattern El Nino. This is characterized by warmer than normal waters across the central and eastern Pacific Ocean. On the flip side, there's increased vertical wind shear across the Atlantic basin, and hurricanes do not like wind shear. That's because hurricanes are vertically stacked in the atmosphere, and what wind shear does is it essentially rips the storms apart. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, this will reduce the activity in the Atlantic this year while enhancing the activity in the Pacific. However, it's not that simple, and this is truly a huge misconception because this year we just so happen to have several competing factors. One of those includes the record warm sea surface temperatures all across the Atlantic basin, and most importantly, the Gulf of Mexico. Sea surface temperatures are ranging in the upper 80s, even low 90s. Not only are the surface waters warm, but the waters are also warm deep down. We're talking 120 to even 200 meters in depth. And with the right environmental conditions, these warm waters would be conducive of supporting a hurricane of major intensity. Now, we're already off to a hot start this year. We currently have 5 named storms on the board. Our most recent storm, Don, actually just became our first named hurricane this season. And do not think for any second things will be slowing down as we head throughout the rest of the month of August or even into September. In fact, our climatological peak is going to be September 10th, and from August to October 31st, this is usually where we see 80% of our named storms. Now, as we head throughout the month of August, we really look at the main development region. This is going to be the area in red for storms to form. But note, we're under an El Nino, and this will have further implications on where these deep cyclones form because it's under a very hostile environment. So what could happen is that weak systems form, and they will continue to just drag along until they move into a better environment with less shear, also warm waters. This includes the Gulf of Mexico, and a prime example of this happened in 2018. This also was an El Nino year. Hurricane Michael made landfall across the Florida Panhandle as a Category 5, and this was the most powerful storm in history to ever impact the Florida Panhandle. But let me show you its evolution. Essentially, it started as a weak tropical system in the Caribbean, and it was there for about a week, but it essentially gained strength and rapidly intensified under those warm waters in the Gulf, and by the time it made landfall, it was a Category 5 strength, producing sustained wind speeds of 161 miles per hour. If that's not enough, it kept Category 3 hurricane strength all the way into Georgia. Not saying this will happen this year, but it could, and of course, we'll be watching trends. Of course, you can always stay tuned to our latest Connecting with Chels every week. We'll be giving you tips on how weather will affect your everyday life.